Michael. Can you hear me? Yes.
Hear you fine.
Okay, great. So it's a great pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to be part of this process, and I will be looking forward to see you and Nessie. So it will be a very interesting moment there. My name is Nicola Cerantola. I'm from Italy, but I've been living in Spain for the last 12 years. In 2009, I launched my own entrepreneurial project called Ecology. And in these 10 years, I have been working mostly in, I would say, 60% in disclosure, training, and education. And then the other 30-40% is related with consultancy and tutoring and mentoring of companies and startups. So that's it. So I would like to share my presentation with you. So let me just give me 1 second to do it. So here it is. Can you confirm that you can see it? Isn't it? Yes. Okay. So I will try to be very brief and go through the slides very quickly, because I believe the most important part is to discuss and generate an interesting conversation. So I suppose that most of you will be familiar with the concept of circular economy. Maybe each one of you in his own or her own way of considering or thinking about it. So I used to use this unicorn starting just to provoke the audience, no? Because I believe we are like chasing unicorns nowadays, because circular economy is very interesting from the business perspective, but there are still many barriers that we have to encounter. And also because business are very interested in the business opportunity, but they are not so keen to pay the cost of the process. With this, I would say that, for example, eco-design is one of the most important part of circular economy, and nowadays eco-design is one of the forgotten. No, it's like, well, no, this is the environmental part, and so just a small critique to start our time together. So I believe that it's something more close to this. No, we are like sailing in a very epic environment. No, we have like 11 years to revert the situation, and the circular economy is one of the most promising way out, no, to this crisis that we are living in. So just to put in context this concept, we have to use the adjective circular, because now we are currently living in a linear one. So this, as you can see here in the slide, we have a system that is called linear economy. So we take what we need to satisfy our needs. Before Michael was introducing that, we have some basic needs. So the economy, the purpose of economy would be satisfying our own needs. But the problem is that when we start considering the needs, they change all over the world. So there is a different perspective of what the needs are. So if we have satisfied our basic needs, we have to start understanding how can we define the upper needs, or the most intangible needs. No? So nowadays, so far we have been satisfying these needs, extracting from the earth, making products and services. Sometimes they are not compatible anymore with nature. Then we put them in the market, and we have to dispose with them. No? So we are charging the consumers with the responsibility to do something with that. No? One of the most important problem with this is that we are losing control of the resources. So one of the most interesting part of the circular economy is that we are able to control and recapture a great part of the value. But the worst consequences are related with the social and environmental aspects. No? For example, with this linearity is generating a lot of eco-services loss. Eco-services are those services that nature provides us. So we are decreasing the production of fields, for example, because we are losing the fertility of the soils, or we are now, well, we are experiencing here in Spain, for example, a very weird weather. No, that, for example, in Madrid, it has been for 8 months, it has been not raining. So another interesting challenge that we have related with the linear economy is that we are currently using most of the elements of the periodic table. For example, there is an iPhone, an average smartphone, for example, is containing something related like 85% of the elements of the periodic table. So we are, as you can see here, there are some scientists that are studying how much is left, no, about this and what we do with them. No, for as you can see here, the currently recycling rates are very low, so we are losing these materials, these elements. And also, if we understand or we try to estimate what is the cost of in a product related with the materials, we can see that it's like 44% in a mobile phone or 32% in smartphone. It means that if we will be able to recover the material, maybe we will be able to generate more value and saving a lot of money. For example, now we have been experiencing a rise up of the prices. In this case, it's a drill. No? In 1 year, it rise up by 59%. As you can see, it's the battery pack. So one of the most critical elements of the periodic table. And there is someone that is estimating how much circular do we are. So currently they estimated that we are 9% circular. And here you have the mathematic modeling that they have been using. Okay, so this is a report from 2019. So is this recent? It has been issued recently. Okay, so just 9% of all the materials that we put in the market is getting back to be reintroduced as raw material. No? So we have a huge problem to solve. Also, if we see the connection between the mass, the value, and the carbon that we use, for example, and nutrition is using in the first column is using a huge mass, but it's generating a small value, no, and it's generating a lot of carbon too. For example, housing is also using a lot of mass. So at the end, what we can start here is the relationship between the economy and the environment. So if we look at the future with the demographic growth, we are accelerating this demand of resources. We are having more consumers. We are increasing the demand in water, food, and energy, no, by 50%. And so how can we reduce this vulnerability? Well, we have to introduce regenerative criteria. And here is on purpose, because it's not environmental criteria, it's regenerative, because we have to regenerate what we have been destroying so far. So environmental is not enough anymore. So we have to start looking at the circular economy or bio-inspired thinking beyond the waste zero concept, because so far people are connecting the circular economy with recycling, but circular economy is coming from a concept of biomimicry, I mean, copying the performances of nature or the living system. So we have to copy the technology of the living system. And here is something interesting for our conversation, and is that in nature there is not monopolies or oligopolies, but we have been designing or developing this kind of societies where the power is in the hands of few people. So when we are looking at the linear economy, what we have there is a struggle for controlling the resources that are necessary for the people. So when we are now getting to a new system, we have to copy nature, because in nature we have a distributed production and consumption system where everything is gathered in the local conditions and is enjoyed by local living systems. No, so we are the only species that is closing the frontiers or is exporting materials in other places. No, so this linear economy is very inefficient, because we are transporting millions of tons of materials around the world to satisfy those needs. So we have to copy nature to be able to close the cycles and to validate this equation that is waste equal nutrient. No, so we have to go from a linear to a circular economy that is based in two metabolisms, the biological and the technical. I will provide you some example of what is happening, okay? So for example, this is a company that is recovering waste and is generating new products for urban furniture. Then we have another company like BSH that is eco-designing some of the products. For example, they are replacing copper elements with aluminium. So they are introducing eco-design the way they are designing products to reduce their vulnerability. Then we can connect, for example, different elements. This is in Netherlands, okay? We are connecting an office, some houses, but well, they are like boats to live in. And then a cafeteria. So we are connecting them, and the waste of each one of them is convert in nutrient for one of the greenhouse with an aquaponics system. Then we can, for example, use a maximize use of resources. In this case, for example, they are converting the manure of cows in electricity through biogas, and then also they are generating fertilizer. In this case, there is a company in Italy that is generating. This company had like 200,000 euros of cost per year, and now they are generating 2 million euros in revenues. So they have been accepting also the manure from other small companies around. Or we can create a marketplace. In this case, is for food. No, so we are able to connect an exceeding food from restaurants to the consumer they need it. But one of the most important point of this time together is this on-demand and almost 0 kilometer production and consumption, because so far we needed great companies, great investment. If you remember, we talk about the power control, no? So far we have been like exploiting so far as much as possible the investment that some big companies made in the past, no? But nowadays with the technology we are able to break down the economy and start producing locally and on demand. That is, for me, one of the most important, because at the end, when we talk about the renewable energy, for example, if we are considering the renewable energy as a big offshore wind turbine generator field, for example, but it's just in the hands of few people, maybe this is not the solution, no? So maybe we have to make this distributed. So at the end, we have also to move towards a performance economy. So the materials that we have in our lives, they shouldn't be our property, or at least many of them. They shouldn't be in our property. We just need access to them, no? So the performance economy is coming associated with the circular economy to help us with that, no? Here another example of how we can change the relationship with the resources and the property. In this case, this company is buying you back the furniture that you purchase, and then they are selling twice, and then they recover last time and they do something with that, they recycle it. Or so we are changing the way we relate with the products. Or we can also start participating in new ways of generating energy that is not in the hands of few big companies. So we can foster a group purchase like this. Okay, so you can invest in a solar plant that is property of the community. So for me, what are the most important elements? First of all, the technology will be able to let us know where, how, and when the products are available. So this is a game changer at the end. We can see that in the mobility, for example. We have been changing the way we move, also because we have one click away, we have the opportunity to reserve, for example, an electric scooter or a car. So this is going to be a game changer for me in the production and the management of energy. Then we have the digital and distributed manufacturing. In this case, we have the rising of the open source models. So we are sharing with others how the products are made, and this is critical, because if we want to go towards the circular economy, we have to inform others about the composition, the chemical composition of the elements, no? For example, in the case of plastics, etc. Then we have a small scale production. For me, is also key, because we are getting from a monopolistic perspective to a small-scale distributed production. So the resources will be generated and managed in a short supply chain instead of sending them 10,000 or thousands of miles away. And then we have the repair and hacking, no? So something that is getting back the role of the neighbor and the artisans to the industry, no? Because nowadays they have lost completely their power. Then the bio and nanotechnology, we have materials that we can extract from agricultural waste, for example, and this is a new, this is a quite interesting innovation that is coming out. So it's related with green chemistry and also with the nanotechnology. About the nanotechnology, we are still at the beginning, so we are not sure about what is going to happen. I was talking in Colombia with a university, and they were making some research related with eliminating the cold chain in ice creams using nanotechnology. So let's think how much billions of dollars and euros we could save with this kind of technology, but we have to be able to make it safe, no? Because they were also mentioning that in China there were some people, they use a nanotechnology facial cream and they are still blue. I mean, they are not able to change their color anymore. So the nanotechnology are quite still dangerous. So we have to find out a way to make it safe for humans. And also because if we are starting using nanotechnology, we have to be able to deal with them when the product is ending its life cycle. So nowadays it's not like that. And finally, there are new technology like blockchain that are maybe helping us to have a better traceability of the supply chain, no? And bigger transparency and higher transparency, and also because it could be changing the question related with the eco-labeling of products, because we will have a technology to do so. So I hope I didn't take too long. So I give you the ball back.